Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Rise of the Podcast. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Kara.
I'm Brownie.
And boy, do we have some info for you. We have a couple of messages we want to talk about first. First and foremost, this is going to spoil the movie. We are talking about The Rise of Skywalker, Star Wars Episode 9. Do not watch this if you haven't seen the movie. And if you don't even think you're going to plan on seeing the movie, still leave, because you might want to watch it in the future. This is a spoiler episode. This is your chance to get out. Go ahead. Goodbye.
Even if you have seen it, maybe you just don't want to watch this one anyway.
Yeah. We're going to talk about spoilers.
We're just going to advise you to just never watch this video.
So, bye, Felicia.
And then also, if this is your first time here, we just want to say welcome to Rise of the Podcast. We love Star Wars, we love Legos, we love games, and we love just talking about Star Wars in general. Highly recommend. We've done a good bad review of all of the original 8 movies up until this point. This is kind of like an interim until we can actually do a full-blown review on what we liked about The Rise of Skywalker and what we didn't like about Episode 9. Go back and check some of those out. We release Lego builds every so often, and that's kind of a little bit about our channel. We're glad you came here to check it out, but you guys ready to talk about Episode 9?
I am. I just want to go into a little bit more clarity for the movie things. We make 2 dedicated videos for each film. One of them explicitly says why we love the movie.
Yep.
Right? One of them explicitly says why we don't love the movie. So that's not like that we have really strong opinion one way or another, and like we're just trying to blast everybody who doesn't agree. We think that all of the movies are lovable and hateable.
Exactly.
And we just sort of want to make a pile of the things that we felt were the best representation of each one.
Yes.
So if you hate Episode 7, we've got a video for you. If you love Revenge of the Sith, we've got a video for you. So all that'll be up in the corner there. Just go ahead and click on that. And like Jeremy said, this will be the placeholder until Episode 9 comes out. We can do a detailed analysis of it and finish off the series once and for all.
Oh my gosh.
But,
all right.
Whew. Okay, everybody. So it's Thursday, December 19th. I know it dates the video, but that's okay. We got to see the movie at 6 o'clock at our hometown here in Duluth, Minnesota. I was very emotional.
Oh my
when
gosh.
it popped up on screen.
Even when for me, even when the crawl started coming up, I was like, this is the last of the Skywalker saga. This is it. Like they said that this is going to be it, you know? So now
I do hope that's it. But I mean, we'll talk about that. Not for any negative reasons. Otherwise, and this is spoil everything. Okay. The movie ended extremely well.
it did.
It went full circle. The closing scene did it for me personally. It was amazing.
All right. Maybe we should just start walking through, like, just go right into the beginning here.
Well, I have to talk about a joke with Chris.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
It didn't talk about space tax, and it didn't talk about space gas in the opening crawl.
Yes.
So there's that.
There's no space parking tickets. There's no space casino. There's no space animal rights.
So that is all extremely well. So like the reviews are all over the place on this movie already since the movie's come out.
And I can kind of see why.
I can kind of see why. Overall, I love the movie. Overall, I do love the movie.
Yes.
I just think there's scenes that made it extremely easy to
rip on it.
pick on it, I guess.
There's some areas that definitely could have used some finessing.
I'm not as on board with this one as you guys are. So I was talking to Keith today about what I want this movie to do, right? It did what I wanted to do. It ended the story, right? So it's like, as long as it does that, I'll be happy with it. And then I said, if it gets to the level of The Force Awakens in terms of like entertaining me and actually telling like an interesting story, then I'll be ecstatic. And then if it gets anywhere near the original trilogy, I don't know what I would do. But I don't think it lived up to Force Awakens even in terms of like grade to me.
Well, no, Jeremy and I actually talked about that on the way here. And rating wise, I agree with Jeremy's rating. For us, it would be 4, 6, 5, right? Or what did
I
you
said
say?
4, 6, 7,
4, 6, 7, 5?
5, 9.
You have Episode 5 4th on your list?
My kid self.
Okay, that's right. I'm not going to judge. Okay, 4, 6,
really
7, 5.
4, 6, 7, 5, 9, 3, 2, 8, 1.
Man, we have completely different lists. So mine is 4, 5, 6, 3, 7, 2, 9, 1, 8.
Wow.
Bottom 3 for Chris.
You like Attack of the Clones better than the one tonight.
Attack of the Clones is an excellent movie.
No, it was good.
I'll say that, like,
but-
for all the flaws of the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy. I keep wanting to say original in terms of storyline, like canon storyline, not in terms of when they came out.
Right.
When the prequel trilogy, it tells a good story.
Yes.
Right.
The sequel trilogy is disjointed.
Yes.
And it's really hard. Like, so, episode 8. You could argue doesn't do 1/100th of the work that episode 2 does. They're both not good.
Right.
But episode 2 does so much work in terms of at least giving you that information to be able to enjoy episode 3.
Right.
Episode 8 just blew everything up and forced episode 9. So we'll get into this. Like the beginning of episode 9, all it is doing is fixing episode 8.
Yes.
Right.
That was my thing. So when I sat down, and I had a very similar feeling with episode 8. Episode 8, I liked it up until Leia pulled herself back in, and then it didn't feel like a Star Wars movie until Yoda appeared. And then from there on out, it was a really good actiony Star Wars movie. You've got the Falcon coming in and saving the day. You've got a hero willing to risk his life. You've got the Force being used, an awesome lightsaber battle. Someone awesome passes away. Like the end of that had a lot of stuff.
I would say if you take the last 90 minutes of 8 and the last 90 minutes of 9, you have a great Star Wars movie.
Agreed.
Well, you could see. So what I was talking to Kara about in the car on the way here is you've got the pacing in the beginning of this movie, like, and you just said it. It's trying so hard to carry a lot of information, and it's really.
I can't believe we saw Palpatine in the first 2 minutes of the movie.
Oh, I know.
Right.
That blew my mind.
Me
all
too. I was
of
like,
the trailers
okay,
are the first 5 to 10 minutes of the movie.
It totally is. Totally
like
is.
all of the trailers. It's insane.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, okay, and then I was like, it took me a minute to realize that this is supposed to be like Ultra Decay Palpatine. Because then, so flash forward to the end of the movie, like when he sucks the life force out of Rey and Kylo, and then he turns back into regular Palpatine,
right,
or whatever. But I was like, he kind of looked like Bee Sting Palpatine to me,
right.
Like he's like, I'll get you, bees.
But so if you look at the story they're trying to tell from 7 through 9. 8 really dropped the ball because they could have talked about half of this stuff in 8. They could have addressed Rey's parents without giving away her grandfather lineage.
Yep.
They could have addressed the whole ceremony thing that they threw in the sand planet and looking for the compass. They could have found the compass. This could have all taken place in episode 8.
And I would say because Kylo and Rey do end up teaming up at the very end, right?
Right.
Can you imagine kicking this off and they're looking for they call it the beacon or whatever, the holocron. Right. So they're already working together, whatever. They're like, holy shit, how did that jump right in? And they're working together, and then you can introduce Palpatine in the first 5 minutes if you want to. Then,
right.
And he's trying to stop them, but then they're already en route to go and get this thing, and everyone else is scrambling trying to find them because they know that the Palpatine is now resurrecting this huge army and all this. I think there's so many beats that could have just if you you said were put into 8, you could have just jumped right into the awesome part of 9.
Right.
It's just it's unfortunate that J.J. Abrams just didn't direct the whole thing, and I know you mentioned that he might not have wanted to.
He kind of lost it, as in it. There was too many
setups.
There was too many setups, and I've read some reviews, and I do agree with them now. People said there was a lot of fan service. This movie is a different movie for me than it is for maybe someone like you, because I have all this extra knowledge. So Snap Wexley. He's a bigger pilot. He's wearing the red suit, and he dies right before the end of the movie. He has his own 3-book story arc that completely is an amazing book series. He's in the movie.
It's excellent books.
We've all been watching The Mandalorian. Love it. Force healing is introduced in The Mandalorian.
Mandalorian spoilers.
Yeah, immediately. Put that in front of it, Chris.
Yeah, right.
Mandalorian spoilers coming up. But so we get this we get Force healing introduced. There is a mission in Battlefront 2, Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Battlefront 2 spoilers.
Okay,
that's an old game. That's an old game. But there's a mission
Shame on you if
in
you haven't played it.
Battlefront 2. You are Luke. You go get that freaking compass.
You do.
So there's
oh, okay. So
so they just talk about
there's a level of appreciation. I know a lot of people dog Princess Leia at the end of Rogue One. Leia and Luke lightsaber training thing or whatever. Oh, that was sweet.
Yeah.
It looked
Like,
so good.
so of the things that they did to fix it, like showing that Luke had decided to train Leia.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I have old non-canon books stuck in my head where Leia decided she never wanted to use the Force, right?
Right.
So it's like all that is jiving with like this ingrained, like I was in middle and high school when I read these
Right.
books.
Yeah.
So like be like, okay, yeah, so obviously showed that she used the Force in 8, and then they're gonna show why she was using the Force in 9, fine, it's out of order, whatever.
Right.
But it's like her lightsaber is sick. That is
it
a
is.
dope lightsaber.
It
Yeah, it is.
And like doing the whole training thing, and then like that whole moment is just awesome.
Totally agree. So here's what I want to do. I want to talk about, in general, the things we liked about the movie, because we can break it down and do that critical review.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about things that we like. So
And I'll interject with things that I hate.
you can interject with things.
No,
that
I
you
liked a lot. I liked a lot of stuff about the movie. It's when you just have so many pieces.
Oh, I think
It's just hard to make it all stick together.
I think a second watch would make it a better movie.
I think
as
so.
well. When you can actually understand what's going on and catch a lot of the stuff.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. So because I had the same thing. Like I still don't really like episode 8. I like it more than I did after my first watch.
Right.
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 I did as well.
So there's a lot to digest. There's a lot of things that I felt I caught, and I'm sure there's tons of stuff that I missed.
Another interesting thing that dawned on me, I know I just said I wanted to talk about good stuff, is, and again, this has been in a couple reviews. I can't name any off the top of my head because I was just like scrolling through Twitter and scrolling through articles, but there is characters they introduced that they could have cut from the movie and it wouldn't have had to been so packed. We get Zori Bliss, awesome character. Didn't necessarily need to go into the movie, but I want to talk about non-major players. So Sith Troopers didn't need to be in the movie. Knights of Ren honestly didn't need to be
Yeah,
in the
they didn't
movie.
do anything.
They
did
really
nothing.
didn't do anything.
I think they put them in there just because everybody was like, okay, you make Knights of Ren sound like this big BA group, where are they? So
You could have left
Gotta
them
throw
out,
'em in.
I get it, but for me,
Right, they
they
were
didn't
unnecessary.
necessarily serve a purpose to the movie.
They did serve one thing, that sweet lightsaber pass to Kylo at the end.
yeah, that was
I have
cool.
some
Oh
opinions
my
on that
gosh.
too.
Oh
Okay.
my gosh.
And so I want to talk about stuff I like about the movie, because overall, I really like about
That's
the
right.
movie.
Like it's gonna be all over
easy.
the place. This is gonna be what it's like for the next couple of days. People like sorting this
Yeah.
stuff out. So this is gonna be really
It's
disjointed.
easy to be critical. I liked the lightsaber pass. That's a dope scene.
Right.
And they did it well. They
They did.
did the snow beam smash room, white room, Kylo Ren down on the planet scene extremely well. But the lightsaber fight on the Death Star, I didn't know if he was there or not.
Well, so like
Kylo
I think what they were doing was setting up because they talk about this. They're
Force bond,
Yeah,
duo.
they're do. I can't remember what the actual word was. It was like dyad.
Yeah.
They're a dyad or whatever, and like so that explains why. So like Snoke or what ended up being Palpatine, like bridging them to each other or whatever, was just tapping into this dyad ability, and it's just getting stronger and stronger the more they're interacting with each other,
Right.
and everything. So like the because like you got the spray of water in 8.
Yep.
Which was like the first time you could see like there's actually a physical manifestation across.
Pulling the beads was amazing. That was really cool.
and then setting up the fight back and forth. It wasn't on the. He was there on the. Oh, you were just saying you weren't 100% sure he was actually there.
Correct.
Okay.
So the way
I
that
feel
they
like-
had been filming it and
Yeah.
he like grabs it, I swear he was like there via the Force, not there in person.
I think that they usually set it up with like everything gets like really dark for both people or whatever,
Right.
and there's like the most of the sound dies away.
Right.
So those elements were missing. So I don't think that it was pretty clear to me. I feel.
Yeah, but a second rewatch would totally solve that problem.
And I can see now, like looking back in my mind's eye, why you would think, because they've already had a bunch of interactions.
Yes.
like that.
Right.
And so like watching the fight is like, is he there? Is he? Her Force jumping and like the waves. That scene was all really beautiful. But
was.
I can't. Okay, so the whole Chewie thing with the transport. I know we're jumping all over the place.
Yes.
I can't. They pull that's Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark with Marion in the basket.
Yes.
It's literally they just stole that, and I can't believe I fell for it again.
I want to talk about that scene when the lightning came out of her fingertips. As I knew she was Palpatine at that point. That is an amazing scene, though.
That
like,
was
watching the lightning go and hit the
insane.
ship. Oh, it was so
okay. Have
good.
we ever seen anybody force pull a ship back?
All right, so I'm going to make the argument right now.
Yes.
That lifting a
Fallen
ship
Order.
and stopping a ship are tantamount to being the same thing, because the force exerted by the ship isn't gonna overcome like the physics in my mind's eye. The ship trying to move at all, like with the thrusters or whatever, is irrelevant to force moving.
Well, then
something.
you have Kylo Ren though, and he's trying to force push it.
Yeah,
like,
no, and then they're struggling,
Yeah.
right? But like I was saying, her just
Yeah.
like force grabbing it does
plausible.
not bother me at all.
No, I'm
it
totally
didn't
fine.
bother
I
me.
can see a lot of people
didn't
like,
bother
oh, so how powerful is she? Stuff for sure. I think that like
It worked.
Yeah.
It worked.
All,
It did.
a lot of the Force stuff, and this is just my own head canon now, right?
Right.
A lot of Force stuff to me is just how much willpower you have to make it happen.
Right. No,
You know,
totally.
so it's like in that case, it's like her being like, I think I can stop this.
Right.
So that's
dope.
Oh,
And her
man.
thinking she killed Chewie. I want to specifically, I don't want this to get buried into the awesomeness of it. My number one favorite thing in this movie is Lando. Every single scene with Billy D. Williams is epic. They did his character justice.
Yeah, they did.
It is awesome. He's one of my new favorite characters. His entrance, perfect. Absolutely perfect. I knew it was him, but it was perfect.
Yeah, no, I had no doubt as soon as I was like, this is Lando.
This is Lando.
Yeah.
Because of his frame, you know?
Yep.
And then when he and Poe were at Leia's bedside, epic. And then him coming in with the people, epic. Like every single thing. Him saving them,
Yeah.
you're not as fast as this ship.
Oh,
Boom!
yes.
So good.
I feel like they missed like in the battle, sort of turning back and forth. Like you get this awesome moment where it's just like a gajillion ships. There could have been more battle.
I agree
And
100%.
because it's almost like the very next beat, Palpatine's blasting the lightning into the air and like disabling
Right.
all the ships. It's like it would have been nice to have a little bit more of a swell for the heroes before it comes right back down.
They showed all these great ships.
It's still awesome.
They showed all these great ships. They show Ghost. They showed like the medical frigate where Luke gets his hand fixed. They show all these ships. We get to see none of them fight.
Right. See,
So-
I would have loved to have seen Ghost go and just
Yeah, they don't have to
blast
show
some things
Hera
at it.
flying it or anything.
Man, I lost it when they're like, where'd they get this fleet or whatever? And they're like,
Yes.
it's not a fleet, it's just people. And it's like, oh, it's such a good moment.
It was an
know.
amazing moment. So I wanted to talk about that. There was two things that like popped out at me about that. I instantly for
I'm
some
crying
reason-
now a little bit just thinking about it. It was such a good moment.
It was
Well,
very good.
there's a lot of political turmoil in the whole world, right? And it's like we care about who's president. We care about who's running countries. But in actuality, if you can live your life as a good person and know that there are other people like you, that's that draw for me. It doesn't matter who's the president of the country. If you're a good person, that's what's important. You know, and I think it's like we feel so isolated sometimes. Like there
Like
is
your
no-
vote doesn't matter. That
Right,
type,
yeah,
whole type of thing.
that whole
yeah.
type of thing, right? But you're surrounded by people in general care, and
Yep.
that is an amazing thing. An
It's
amazing
easy to
thing.
be jaded in the world today or whatever. And it's just like moments like that make you think like, oh, things aren't so bad. Like
Things
if a
aren't
whole
so
galaxy
bad.
can get together,
and
it's like
and-
a few people can probably do it.
right.
Yeah.
And then the other thing too is for some reason, as much as fans, like I said, I love the quote, "No one hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans."
Yep. That's the quote that started the whole series, the good and bad series.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
Keith said that to me. And he
Yeah.
asked why we don't dump on Star Wars.
And so I feel like that's also a callback to the fans. Like I really hope that we can be, as a fan group, at least appreciate the movie enough to be that group of people, like in that scene, in the all the ships.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's
'Cause
like,
I get it.
I'll say just to add on to that point, every movie ever made has flaws, right?
It does.
No Star Wars movie is perfect, and I think we've illustrated that clearly through our series.
yes,
right?
we have.
But focusing on the negative is only going to make you not happy.
Right.
Right.
That's
it's like
just
the
it.
movies exist as to escape reality, and like. We can get into movie theory, but one of the reasons they're there is just so you can go and have a good time. There are a lot of really fun moments, or a lot of really cool moments, or a lot of really great action scenes, a lot of
Yeah.
sad moments. It hits all of these things. Is it scattered? Is it kind of poorly assembled? Are they trying to do a lot of work?
Right.
Yeah, but like it
They
was
do
worth
have to
it was worth the
wrap it
price of it was worth the price of admission.
Yeah.
They tell a pretty good story.
Yes.
If people can just get off of their high horses about how
Right.
it should have been and just look at it
Right.
at what it's supposed to give to you is just like a little bit of excitement for a couple of dollars for a couple of hours.
It was a great thing. And so Kara and I, we consume everything Star Wars. Everything Star Wars. Video games, books, audiobooks, TV shows, Disney
Scented
Plus,
soaps.
everything. Scented soaps, things.
I actually
right?
did purchase Jeremy R2D2 soap.
Yes, she did.
One couple years
Kids
back.
all-in-one body wash. That was like for your hair.
You know what would be
armpits.
cool is if it had like a shampoo, body wash, and conditioner, but you have to press a different part of them and it goes.
That would be
pops
fun.
out.
That'd be amazing.
That would be really fun.
So
It's
start working on that, Disney.
So we love all things Star Wars, and this movie just meant a lot for me. It gives me something to look forward to. I have been looking forward to tonight
For 2 years.
Well, really since 2015. I mean, really since they announced The Force Awakens, we knew there was going to be 3 movies.
Yeah.
And I was waiting for this, and it did everything it was supposed to do, and that's all we can ask of the movie. So talking more about cool things is, again, I get why people say fan service, but the things that I caught and I think about make me happy. Chewie finally got his medal.
Yes.
That's a big deal.
Okay, so Jim was that was the bigger guy,
Yeah,
right?
yep.
Okay, so he said that was Leia's medal. Leia didn't get a medal at the end of episode
she
4.
didn't.
That's Han's medal.
Yes. That would
And
make sense.
that's what I thought. It was like it's either just some medal that was sitting around or it's Han's.
I think it's Han's.
Because Leia's handing out the medals.
Correct.
Yep.
And Chewie never got one.
Yeah, and Chewie didn't get one, and everyone's on the and it's like even I don't know if you guys caught this. Like there's sort of like a wider shot of the celebration. He's like holding it up and like
Yeah,
going like
I saw
ah.
that.
Yes.
I was like, oh, he's so like
I feel-
he's not materialistic. He's doing it because it's the right thing to do.
Right.
But also it's like sort of like this equalizing moment. I'm tearing up again
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like thinking about it. Just because he's such an important character, and it just shows that like they're valuing everybody, not just the humans,
Right.
or whatever. You know,
Right.
it's like just like an inclusion moment. Did you see the 2 ladies?
Yes, I saw that.
So like something that like I don't want to make a big deal out of it because it's not a big deal,
Right.
But it's awesome that they put that in there,
right. You've got also though it's a tribute to Peter Mayhew.
Oh yeah,
They handle that as a way to like I think address Peter Mayhew. They address Leia's passing I think as well because we get to see a little mini funeral and her body evaporate into the force.
Yep.
Along with Ben's and so I think there's a lot of layers to this movie.
when
There's a
Luke
lot of
caught
stuff.
that lightsaber,
I know.
Oh, I love that he went there. Or I'm sorry. I love that Rey went to that island.
Octo.
yeah,
That's what I would have done. Like, I don't know. I related to that. Because it's like,
Yeah,
she's got-
because she was overwhelmed and she didn't know what to do, and that's exactly where Luke went.
yes. She's like, I'm just going to be you. It was adorable. It was cool.
And then he cashes in
yes.
on him throwing the thing away. And it's like a Jedi's weapon should be paid more respect than that.
Yes.
And
There's a lot there.
Because people hated that in episode 8, but
Yes.
I defended it because I thought, because he's closed out from the Force, doesn't want
Right.
anything to do with it. I thought it was actually a good character moment for that. And then he comes back, Force go, Luke catches the thing. Oh, so
And
good.
I thought Rey was going to lift the ship out, but when Luke lifted it out,
I
he
know.
finally did it.
Yep.
Like that, there's a lot
I was kind of waiting for Yoda to show up and be like,
I
oh,
was
finally,
too.
Skywalker.
I was too. I was hoping Force Ghost Yoda would show up, but
I was gonna say, you know what I was kind of hoping for when Rey is in the Sith Temple.
I-
If the Force Jedis would have appeared behind her.
I was waiting for that kind of like the team up scene, like
Yes.
when as soon as Palpatine
thing.
said, "I am all of the Sith," I was waiting for them to just go, and we're all the Jedi or whatever.
Right?
Yes.
Oh, how amazing would that have been?
But
I was waiting. I would have bawled and be like, oh my gosh.
The voices moment was awesome.
It was.
Ahsoka made an appearance.
Oh,
Freddie
okay.
Prince Jr. apparently, Kanan.
So Ahsoka, Kanan, Ki-Adi-Mundi, Qui-Gon Jinn, Ayla Secure was in there.
I was so happy to hear Yoda though.
The Addy.
Yoda got the most. I think he got 3.
yeah, Yoda got a few.
Alec Guinness
Yep.
Yep.
was in there. It was amazing. It was absolutely
so
amazing.
good. Oh,
Okay.
I cried there. I was like,
So we get done, and there's still more to talk about, but we get to the end of the movie, and they're all hugging. The movie is almost over, and I was filled with an instant dread. I was so afraid that they were going to cut it there because I didn't feel closed at that point, and I needed that closure. The most important thing I needed from walking with this movie was the closure to the whole story, and it went full circle, ending back up on Tatooine. For the people who watched it originally in 1977, it started on Tatooine, with Luke.
Technically, it started
basically-
above Tatooine.
Right, right.
technically.
But it started on Tatooine or at Tatooine, and
Yep.
it ended at Tatooine, and it was awesome.
The
Luke's and Leia's
BB-8
saber-
sons. Sorry, I just need to throw that in there.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
really cool. But
Yes.
The BB-8 son was hilarious, and well, cool, awesome, and then it's like her and her droid.
yeah, and her burying the lightsabers, I thought was really cool. Like the sort of like the twins reunited thing too, because it was
Yes.
each of Luke and Leia's lightsabers.
Yep.
And then the
man.
fact that she calls herself a Skywalker is amazing. My prediction is those are the Jedi. The Jedi aren't going to be Jedi anymore. I think she's going to start a temple there, and I think she's going to raise Skywalkers, I think what she's going to do.
Ooh.
I think that's what it was. And it was so cool. I was a little conflicted for her being Palpatine, but you talk about people being good, or we talked about people being good earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I loved the fact that, like, with her dad being Palpatine,
Grandfather.
or grandfather being Palpatine, it goes to show that children are not responsible for the sins of their parents.
Right.
Yeah.
And her
Also,
grandfather.
I was waiting for her to be like Ray Palpatine, like she's gonna make the name hers now.
Yes.
I could have seen it go either way.
Yeah.
I like that, like, because like the biggest father and mother figure she had were Luke and Leia.
Right.
So like I totally get it. I'm 100% fine with it. But I also would have been fine if she would have said Palpatine too.
Right. I wouldn't have been bothered by it with Palpatine. I like. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say what I liked with her being a Palpatine is when they were on Octo, Luke tells her Leia knew she was a Palpatine, and like that realization to her that even though she is a Palpatine, Leia didn't care.
Yep.
Like she still cared for her,
Maz
like
probably,
a daughter. You know,
Maz probably knew
Yeah.
when Han said, "Who's the girl?" or like
when she says,
"Who's the girl?" or whatever.
Yeah. Well, so I think what if like just running through it really quickly in my head, the only people who really care about lineage necessarily are the Sith.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
that's true.
like Palpatine's obsessed with the Skywalker lineage. Is like your
Right.
son can't ever learn the Force. Whatever, my granddaughter, all like it's all
him.
him. Nobody else cares.
Right.
Right.
You know, like Yoda doesn't care where people came from.
Nope.
You know, like nobody's hung up on this lineage thing except for
Right.
him. So it makes it's kind of fitting in a way that his lineage came back to destroy him.
Right. And then I wanted to comment too. So we see, and that was a beef. If you watch episode 8, Bad Last Jedi, Snoke was like so powerful in the stupid throne room. And then Palpatine, I was like hoping for a little force battle there going on. I've always loved them catching lightsaber lightning with the lightsaber and all of that.
Yeah.
But she was able to like use the force. It would have been maybe cool to see her overpower. Like if he's trying to like pull a lightsaber away and she just kind of like, can overpower him, you know, even though he's Palpatine, right? But if she striked him down, she would have became him.
Right.
Yep.
But he killed himself.
Yep.
You know, he killed himself.
And like definitively too. It's not like he fell down an elevator shaft this time.
No.
It's like he
you saw him
disintegrated himself.
disintegrate, yeah.
He's done. That was by the way, the throne, amazing set design.
Yeah.
The throne.
I
Oh
couldn't
my
tell.
gosh.
I don't know explicitly that all those cloaked figures weren't just like an imaginary thing or not. Because like I
Right.
can't.
They were gone at the end. Right,
Yeah,
when he was
like,
dead.
but there's no bodies or
No.
anything. So I don't know if it's just like him trying to manifest the idea of the dark side and the Sith followers and everything.
Right.
So that's sort of up in the air because like, it seems like an awkward place for people to just be like sitting around waiting for her to show up.
Well, and then you would think too, like with her attacking Palpatine, you think all of them would have like come down from their seats and been like,
Yeah.
there's thousands of
Right.
us, there's one of you.
Yeah.
You know? And all you see is her fighting those, like 6 or 7 red guards
Yeah,
that were
right.
or Sith guards or whatever they were.
Was there any doubt in your mind that Kylo Ren wasn't going to climb back out of that hole?
No, he was coming back.
You,
Like, as soon as he got blasted, I was like, I know he's going to come back. I don't know if he's going to be the one that delivers the death blow.
Right. You never die when you
Whatever.
fall down in
Yeah.
Star Wars because he
That's
didn't even
exactly
kill Palpatine.
it.
Oh, man.
Darth Maul comes back and he got chopped in half.
Speaking of that moment with Han, was so
Loved
good.
it.
Oh my
Oh.
god.
I wanted to
Yeah.
talk about that. And it's like there's so much to talk about here. Han coming back, amazing moment. I loved every second of it because they brought everyone again was in this movie. Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Billy D.
Yeah.
Williams, everybody that was in the original ones were now in this movie.
Yep.
And when Ben is going to say, I love you, and he says, I know, I was so shocked. I was like, did they just do that? Did they just go there? It's crazy.
So when they first brought Han back and they like Ben and Han started talking, I was like, this is just a rehash of The Force Awakens on the bridge, basically.
Well, yeah.
But then I was like, okay, I'm okay with this because of how everything ended and like the way Ben said, I don't know if I'm strong enough to do this. And like that whole thing changed,
Yep.
And he's like, I know. Oh my goodness.
I know.
That's what I'm saying. There was
He called him Dad.
Oh, there was so much they
heart.
did in this movie. I can't believe they actually fit it all in, to be perfectly honest.
At the end, when Palpatine's talking about how Darth Vader was there, or Anakin was there for Luke to save him from whatever.
Yeah.
So father saving son, Han was and then obviously Leia was a big part of bringing him back too. But father saving son, it's like there's like interesting like sort of parallels between that too.
Right. And then a big complaint with The Last Jedi is Leia pulling herself in. Well, now it means she's totally a Jedi. So now it makes like perfect sense.
Right.
And you get to see that. They addressed so much. Her lightsaber was amazing. I can't believe it. There was a lot in this movie that was amazing. I really, really liked the sand planet and the smoke scene and the jetpack troopers and the bikes.
They talk about it's only every 42 years do they have this celebration.
Yeah.
42 years of Star Wars.
Well, so which another sort of side thing too, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the answer to
42 is life,
42 is the
that's
answer to
funny.
everything.
To answer
What does it mean
everything,
in the
right?
universe? 42.
Right.
So I'm like, I don't know if that's intentional or not. It just might have been happenstance, but my initial thought was like, oh, it's like immediately it's like, oh, 77 in 2019.
Yeah.
I
42
thought
years.
overall, I'm trying to keep everything positive here. Overall, compared to like how they did it in Rogue One and even in The Force Awakens, the humor was only at like 90% of like Star Wars humor. Because I mean, some of the funny jokes that stuck out in my head were, you were a spice trader? Well, weren't you a stormtrooper and you're a scavenger or whatever?
Yeah, we do this all day.
We can do this all day. Like Oscar Isaac's character, for him to not even be planned to be anything more, because in The Force Awakens, he was only supposed to be in until the sand scene.
Mm-hmm.
And then for him to be the general and like take on Leia's reins, how cool is that?
Yeah, that's awesome.
That was so cool. I loved the horses. Like they're trying to freeze the horses from coming out of the thing.
Yeah.
I think they're speeders. And they're like, we can't freeze them. And then the horses come out.
Yeah,
or
can't
whatever
jam
those
them.
things. Oh, can't jam them was super cool. But so there's like that snow planet. I liked the little guy.
Yeah, he was funny. I liked him a
he
lot.
was funny.
Yeah.
I the C-3PO bit. So I thought like leading up to it was like, man, C-3PO is talking a lot, and it was like, oh, that's right, they're building the part where like he's gonna like have to sacrifice himself or whatever. I felt there was a little bit of a cop out that R2-D2 could just back him up.
He could have been fine. He could have been fine not having a memory. I mean, he's still like his personality was there.
It killed me though when R2, did his little bleeps and bloops and C-3PO was like, my best friend, I've never met you.
Yeah,
like,
and R2's like,
oh, but
They did handle that
friend.
well, though. They didn't give C-3PO a choice. He's like, I would not like to be stuck with whatever. And R2-D2's just like, clomp.
Yeah.
So it's very R2-ish.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about Dio, too. Kara was excited to see Dio, but we love BB-8, right?
Mm-hmm.
And BB-8 was the biggest flop of my Force Awakens preconceived notions. I didn't think BB-8 was going to be good in Force Awakens. He's one of my favorite droids now. He's amazing.
Mm-hmm. And
And BB-8 still was the majority droid in our hearts in this episode.
Yeah.
And Dio did his job really well.
he did.
It was weird
He's-
for him to speak English.
That was my thing. Like, I think that's the only thing I didn't like about Dio. The fact that he spoke.
I kind of like he's like, ooh, friend.
No, thank you.
thank
No,
you.
thank you.
Yeah.
It's
Thank you.
hilarious. He
It
reminded
was
me, I
funny,
loved
but
like
it's
him
like-
digging in Rey's stuff though. Like they gave him that personality again.
Yeah.
And it worked. Squeaky wheel. Like that. Like this poor little abused droid. It's like a pet. It really was like
Yeah.
a pet. You go to the shelter.
And he had
feed a dog
information
and-
that they needed too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that part was cool. I really liked
So,
that.
I mean, I'm torn on him speaking English. Like,
I think you'll get over it.
I will. Of course I will. He's adorable. Like, he's just the cutest little thing on one wheel. Like,
they're
but-
nice to him. And then I love the part when Rey comes back at the end of the movie and she hugs BB-8 and he like fixes her antenna or whatever.
Yeah, like that's the first
She
thing
always
she goes
checks
for.
his antenna every
Yeah.
time. That's so, like it's just such a funny
it's
thing.
endearing.
You dropped a tree on him?
That part was hilarious when he's like stuck under the tree. Again, though, see that was the humor. Like 100% would have been perfect for, and you can't meet it. But that beginning part, it was like they were just so close to having it. But the exchange, the Falcon's on fire. It lands and it's on
Yeah.
fire.
Well, one thing I like. So this is 5 years later, and right away you see Chewbacca, Finn, and Poe on the Falcon, and they have this camaraderie that they wouldn't have had before.
Right.
And so, I mean, that right there shows you.
He's definitely cheating.
Right.
That
so
was funny.
funny.
That was funny.
Had Poe met Chewbacca really?
Not
I don't think
really,
so.
If you
So-
if you think about it.
So I thought it was kind of cool that they set that like these are friends now. It's been 5 years. You know, we've done a lot.
They needed to be, and he like bumps the ship, and it, she looks at Chewie. Sorry.
Yeah, I was like, I know.
I loved. Although it was easy to read, Hux was the mole.
Yeah,
Loved it.
I kind of wish he would have survived.
I feel bad he died.
Seriously, like there, it was.
Because like Hux being blasted would have been satisfying had he stayed a bad guy.
Yes.
But him getting blasted was kind of like, it's sort of like a gut punch. It's like, oh man, I kind of wanted him to live now.
Right.
Oh, that was.
So that part was really good. But man, overall, the movie was. It really is a good movie. The thing is, it has a lot of weight to carry, being a Star Wars movie that's going to close off the trilogy.
Yeah, and that's sort of the unfortunate part. Is like, I don't know if given that position, if it ever could be truly like a great movie,
Right?
Like, because there's so much expectation going into it. Even if they had sorted out, like if Episode 8 was better and they weren't trying to lift the weight with that or whatever, it's like all the things. Like, I can guarantee you that people would find reason to not enjoy it,
Right.
or not say that it's a good movie or whatever. Like, it's like I said, it's in the middle for me. But does it do what I want it to do as a final film in a franchise? It does, and that's what like, it makes me happy. Is like I'm happily rewatch it over several of the other films.
Right. Oh, totally.
Amen.
And that was very enjoyable. The Good Bad review. We have watched all 8 movies since September.
Yep.
And been able to be current and fresh and watch The Mandalorian and watch things and continuing on in the future. I'm excited for the Kenobi series. I'm excited.
Oh my gosh, I'm so stoked for that.
But I don't want to steal the focus away from this video. So I can't wait to sit down and do a good bad with you guys when this movie, like, do it actually the justice it deserves to talk about the good and bad.
I'm trying to think of other stuff in there that, because like there's just so much, and I just want to make sure that I sort of cover everything.
I can't remember her name. The black lady that's Poe's girlfriend.
Jenna.
Well, is she his girlfriend, or does she just like look up to him because or whatever? Because like I feel like the Finn and Rose thing, then that might be like it gets all like complicated because like you can tell there's still sort of something there, but not.
Well, she was concerned for him when they were going on the ship.
Yeah.
But then those two were on the ship together. Who knows?
Well, and he's telling her to leave because he wants her to survive. Like he doesn't care if he and whoever.
Jana.
Yeah, like because like they're like I think there's like a camaraderie because they're both former stormtroopers that defected.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and Finn, like, it's cool to see Finn, like, sort of convert to believing in the Force, even though he's not, like, Force sensitive necessarily. He trusts his gut because he thinks it's the Force guiding him.
Right.
Right. And then he's trying to, like, sort of, like, spread that message to her, too. It's like, you left because you had this feeling. It's the Force telling you that it's wrong to do that.
As much as you like, we all knew it was coming when he's like, I just feel it, right?
Yep.
And my initial reaction was like, oh, that's cheesy. But there's not a single line that would have been better delivered. Like, that's Star Wars.
Sometimes you just have a gut feeling.
Sometimes you have a gut feeling.
I mean,
yeah, you have a good feeling about it, you have a bad feeling about it. You have a feeling about it.
Who's to say that the Force isn't, gonna nudge someone a little bit like, hey.
Well, so there's a lot of theories out there that like everybody has some amount of midi-chlorians. Yeah. Everyone's a little bit, whatever, So like there's actually, we were talking about Han's luck or whatever. There's a theory going that Han has almost enough midi-chlorians to be, he could have been a Force user had he had a little bit more, but he's well above average of the normal person, which is why he feels so lucky because he's like his intuition is being influenced by the Force more than an average person. But he doesn't have enough Force to actually be able to like do like all the crazy Jedi stuff.
Yeah.
Can you tell me how they did that water? The water around the Death Star and her riding that skiff out there.
It's all particle simulation. That's just computers working their butts off.
That looked good. It looked good. And the way they handled Leia's interactions in this movie, again, it was like if 100 would have been what I was looking for, it was like 90% of the way there. Like I said, it could kind of feel like they reused some of her scenes and dialogue to make it work. But they pulled it off to the point where I'm happy they did it.
Because I knew it going in, I could see how what she was saying could be used in different contexts.
Exactly.
And that like was, and I wouldn't necessarily call that a spoiler because they said that they were doing it so early on, but it still did sort of influence the way that I was taking her performance.
Yeah. And what an honor and tribute the way that she basically redeemed Ben.
Yep.
Yeah.
She always believed it.
That was definitely an added scene because she was completely backlit, shadow. You couldn't see her face. That
but
was
like
somebody
her laying
else.
down, her laying down in that scene. But it was done so well. Like she knew it was the time to die.
That's just good filmmaking when you have to work around granted, the death of somebody is like shouldn't be boiled down to just being called a problem, but
Right.
Like when you run into an obstacle when you're doing something like that, and you find a way to make it work, you know, that's just making a good movie.
Yeah.
And then the whole connection between them was annoying in Last Jedi, but it really played well, especially up until like what the payoff is worth it once you see the end of this movie, and that lightsaber pass was sick.
Yeah.
And then watching her use 2, and then the yellow. So maybe a good question for you guys. Comment below and let us know what you think. My parents completely thought something different than me. Is she buries the lightsabers and she activates the yellow one. Did she build it or is it her parents?
I think she built it.
I think she built it too.
My initial reaction was built it, but it never dawned on me she could have got it from like her parents. They were Jedi.
At very, very, very first, I thought it was Kylo's without those cross
I did
guards.
too.
Because it's very similar to the way that it was, but
then
his is at the bottom of the ocean
Endor,
of the Endor. Yeah.
My only thing is, so she, after the age of 4 or whatever she was, she never had contact with her parents. How would she have gotten their lightsaber?
Well, she knows.
Were her parents actually Jedi though?
They were Jedis.
Is this known from something outside of the movie? Because I didn't get that from the movie.
Well, so they sent a Jedi killer to kill her parents for sure, and to retrieve her.
No, I thought they just sent someone to get her because Palpatine had a vision of her becoming a Jedi, not necessarily that her parent. Because like, if he knew that he was able to see so far into so many different areas, I think he would have killed them even pre her being born had he had the foresight to see that they were Force sensitive.
Well, I know at one point somebody mentions that Kylo Ren mentions that her parents gave up their like
training,
what they had to protect her.
Well, but I don't think that necessarily means that they were Jedi. Though. They gave up their lives.
We'll have to I think they literally mentioned multiple times they were Jedi.
I didn't get that once.
Yeah, because that guy the ships who's crashed, he was specifically a Jedi hunter and was hunting her parents and to kill them. And then they get caught, and it says like her Jedi parents or whatever didn't give them up. And then when he like approaches her, it's like your Jedi way. And I think Luke trained her parents. I think it's specifically Palpatine says your parents were trained by Master Skywalker. I think he like says that.
Oh man, I must have missed that.
Yeah. I like did talk about
this. Will be interesting to look back in hindsight when all this is just like once we've seen it 30 times and it's just rote memorization.
Right.
How much like we missed or misinterpreted or whatever.
But anyway, so I think we all my original consensus was that she made it. I just thought that was an interesting thing.
I think she made it.
And then like the yellow. Any thoughts on that? Because like canonically, we've had red, blue, green, and then Mace Windu had a purple one, and that's it.
Yellow is typically a Jedi Guardian.
I don't know if we've seen yellow. Was there a yellow flash of yellow in 2 at all? It would have been in 2.
Oh.
I don't think I saw anything
in the background or anything. It could have been in the stadium, but I can't like guarantee. But it's been in a lot of extra stuff.
Yeah, I know in the EU or in the Legends and stuff like that. Yeah, so like I thought it was very interesting that they
canonically we've had white because of Ahsoka, because she really is like canon in Rebels, but not really any yellow per se.
So,
which is a pretty cool revelation, or at least in one of the main 9 movies for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll say this: like with the end, with it ending the way that it ended. I wouldn't be surprised. I know they said that they're done with the Skywalker saga, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if they took these same 3 characters and had them doing other stuff.
Right.
Like non-episodic.
Yeah, well, I mean, they could do another trilogy, but it just doesn't focus on fighting the Empire. And like, I feel this wasn't the Skywalker saga, this is the Palpatine saga.
Well, that's what it ends up being.
That's what it feels like to me.
He manipulated everything throughout all of the episodes.
So
the entire thing.
Like, I don't want there to be another like evil galactic thing coming up, but if there's like, I could see other adventures going on with the 3 of them.
Well, just like the books, like there's the overarching baddie, but a lot of times they're fighting at like little planet problems and stuff.
Yeah,
as much as I love like Rey and Finn and Poe and all these characters, I'm very much so a completionist. So I'm ready for this to be laid to rest.
Yeah, I would be absolutely happy if this was the end of like if everything from here on was just stories.
Yes, and we've
or if you jump 1,000 years ahead and have a completely different conflict, and you can talk about like the legends of the past and whatever, and they're just like mentioned or whatever. But
we've got we've got old stuff. We've got like they can go back in time. They're doing an excellent job with the Mandalorian. I'm excited for Kenobi and those series. Like there's a lot of content for them to dive into without affecting this overall Skywalker story. So,
Yeah.
but I give it 2 thumbs up. I liked the movie. The problem is I've like the nostalgia will always win over. And like I said, 4 is just a self-contained movie for me. It is a complete movie. And that's the thing too. Force Awakens, you could really watch and not watch any of the other movies. And it tells a pretty complete story,
I think so.
you know? And so it's like, you've got that now, like 1, 2, and 3, they balanced what they're trying to tell across all 3 movies.
Yeah,
George
so
Lucas
they
was
work
able
as a unit. They might not
Extremely
necessarily
well.
work by themselves. I would say episode 3 probably works pretty okay on its own.
Right.
But 1 and 2 not so much. But like you said, they actually balance the story across the 3 of them.
Right.
That I think is going to be the glaring problem with 7, 8, and 9 is they just weren't able to balance the story right because for whatever reason they didn't. If they did have an overarching direction of the way they want to go, it was very poor execution. But it just seems like they're like, yeah, just write whatever, make it work. You know,
Right. All of 8 them just pretty much running away.
yeah.
It's like all it was. There's could have totally
Well, and we talked about in our episode 8 review, it was like if
came out today.
yeah,
The bad one did.
the bad one did.
Yeah.
We talked about how, you know, it's like if they change it, because like, they ended up using a mole in episode 9, but it's like if they ever thought that Finn was the mole for the Empire and they were chasing around on the thing or whatever, then like they could have totally recontextualized a lot of stuff. They could have kept a lot of the same moments, but it would have meant more.
It's funny about that. Hux could have been the mole in, like you just said, Hux could have been the mole in 8
Yeah.
and been revealed in 9.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, and it would have been a fun thing to talk about. But that's all I have for this. Kara, you got any other final thoughts?
I don't think so.
Are you happy with the way it ended?
I am very happy with the way it ended.
Are you satisfied? And Kara's dressed up as Rey. What an honorable character to be.
Yeah.
And one
Ray Palpatine.
One thing, it's not a
Right.
spoiler. We obviously know that there is a mercenary in The Mandalorian. Kara is just so happy at the pronunciation of Kara.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Like they actually call her Kara. I was like,
They could have been Kara.
well,
Kara Dune.
what's the video game with the character? Her name is Kara, spelled Kara, but they pronounce it Kara.
I'm not sure.
It's a newer one. It came out, I think, earlier this year.
Oh, I missed it. I haven't played a lot of video games this year.
It's like a spacey looking thing. I don't know. Anyway, I was salty about that. I was like, it is Kara.
All right.
There's
Kara.
no alternate pronunciations for brownie. So
Chris, take us out.
all right. Well, if you've made it this far into the video, congratulations. I think it's worth a like. If you made it this far in the video and you haven't seen the movie yet, what the heck did you do? Because now there's absolutely nothing left for you. Well, I mean, like it's still a fun movie, but all the surprises and the twists and everything, it's just gone. But anyway, like this video if you made it this far, subscribe if you haven't already, ring the notification bell so you can be notified every time we upload a video. It means a lot to us, shows that you're supporting what we're doing here on the channel. Comment down below any crazy spoiler thing you want to, because we've spoiled it all. So like we want to talk, we want to talk about this movie. We could talk all night about this, but some of us have to work tomorrow. Anyway, so do all the things. We love you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and of course,
May the force be with you.